we do have a guest speaker today, and I am really, really excited for him to speak. His name is Michael Trownsell. He is, some of you might remember him as a former student at Riverside School. He left us just last year, this past year. So he's just been gone this school year, and he was a great student when he was at Riverside. We all miss him quite a bit. But while he was at Riverside, also started to kind of unleash his creative side. And we've invited him back to talk a little bit about his time at Riverside, how transition went for him, because a lot of kids are thinking about what's happening next after Riverside. And then he's also been up to a creative and interesting project that he is going to talk about. So without further ado, Michael. All right, Michael, I'm going to let you start.
Okay, hello everyone. It's so great to be here. I can't even tell you. It's such an honor, and that was a very nostalgic assembly there, Mr. Wong. Okay, so I went here for 4 years, 2015 to 2019, and those years really changed my life because I could understand my dyslexia. And so I started Riverside when I had a teacher at Richmond Montessori who realized that I had dyslexia. And she didn't really know what to do. And Montessori, they understood it very well, but they just weren't sure how to treat it. So I went many years at that school, dealing with the dyslexia and not really having anything to do about it. And I had 5 tutors, and so it was interesting. But and eventually my teachers said, we got to do something about this. So she suggested Riverside. And so that's when my Riverside experience started. And for me, Riverside was such a different place. It was so much more like me. It was great, and I could really build on, I could really help myself. My dyslexia was, it was a lot better to have a place that I could, understand, that people understood dyslexia and could help me. And so it was a lot better being around people like me, because I could, I was more confident. I understood the dyslexia, and it was just so much a great experience. It really was. And so it was really difficult when I left Riverside, you can imagine. It was, because it was all I knew, really. And it was a place that, I've been for so long. New community, you usually hear about it being very similar to Riverside, but it's not as similar as you would think, because there were a lot more people. It was so much more different. It was such a step up from Riverside, and I really had a difficult time dealing with that. So, but it was good because I knew a lot of people there, but I almost wanted a fresh start, to be honest, like something. I wanted a fresh start, and I wasn't really sure if New Community was the right place. And it was very difficult letting go of Riverside. So then, so it took actually a few months for me to get adjusted, which is probably more than it would for most people, just because I tend to overthink things, I think, sometimes. So it was a difficult transition, but I got adjusted, and I found where I fit in there. So it's been a real great experience. And the transition, as I said, it was long for me, but it might not be long for you, because it just was you know, yeah, I think that for most people it would be shorter. Some people might not even recognize the change greatly, but it was really, love the school, and I really feel part of a community. So, so I joke it's called that because it's it's a community of people with dyslexia, and you all feel like you're have something in common. So that's really a great thing. And so I'm really into documentary filmmaking, and it's always been an outlet for me to strengthen my academic skills and just to have fun, because it is fun once you get to do it. I mean, you can. There's been a few things I've ran into, like, difficult times filming in places, but overall, it's been such a great, such a great thing to do. And so I've made one full hour show called Communities Along the James. And I actually filmed it mostly when I was at Riverside last year. Um, and there's been other shorter documentaries I've made that cover all sorts of Virginia history, and they're filmed all over Virginia. So I have a YouTube channel called TS Productions, and that's where you can find a lot of my short documentaries that I've put up there. And it's really designed for just learning something new every day. So you can go on there and just watch like a 1 minute clip and just learn something completely new every day. I tried to make it like there are new things for people to learn. I don't know, not really sure. um, so a few months ago, I was the featured story in Richmond Magazine. And so that really helped me get farther made me feel more confident. It was a real great opportunity to be in that. And it helped because my mom knew the journalist, or whatever you want to call him. So at my current school, I've been helping out with the Parents Association. Like, I made the Teacher Appreciation Week video for them. And I've been able to kind of take what I've, learned and kind of apply it to my own school to help them. And that's really been a good thing to do. So I'm going to show you, I guess I'll just screen share. Is that right? One of
Sure.
my documentaries here. Not really sure how this is going to work, but let me try this. Let me see. Okay, let's give this a try here.
Yeah.
Okay. This is one that I made on Yorktown, which is kind of where, America gained its independence, and they, made their victory in the Revolutionary War. So it was really a great thing for Americans to, be able to gain their independence, which they had wanted for such a long time. So here is. In this golden age, some of Virginia's greatest figures were born. It was George Washington, the son of Northern Virginia. James Madison of the Western frontier. It was a Goochlander who represented Virginia to those great men, and his name was Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson went to William and Mary in Williamsburg, studying mathematics and other subjects. He could tear himself away from his dearest friends to fly to his studies. So said his friend John Page Rosewell. But when Jefferson graduated, Virginia and all the colonies as a whole were tired of English rule. It was time to revolt. We're in Yorktown, and it's Yorktown Day. In 1776, America declared independence from Britain. George Washington commanded an army of Americans to go against the British. Fighting with all their will, they lost New York, but regained it at intense speed. It's amazing how determined they were to defeat the English. You just have to look at these readouts to tell. With the help from the French and their navy, the Americans destroyed the British on Virginia shores at Yorktown. The defeat was so great that Charles Cornwallis, Major British General, hid in this cave, saying he was sick. America had become a nation.
Nice. That was cool.
Hopefully you learned something. It's really great to be able to make these documentaries. I really enjoy it, and it's been such a great outlet for me. So,
Can I ask a question, Michael?
yes, of course.
So how did the Yorktown, were you already going to go there? Did you see something in the news that it was happening? Did you pick that day? Like what was the process? How did you come to pick that topic? How does that work?
Great question. So my mom has a friend who's very funny. She's kind of like my aunt a little bit. But her father lives in Yorktown. She usually lives in New York City, but she comes down to help her father. So she told us that Yorktown Day was going to happen. I'm like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to film something that is, it's going to be something great to film. So I jumped on that opportunity, and we went down there and filmed, and it was perfect because you had all these, had like the fife and drum soldiers, and it was great. And it was definitely, that's how I got all that too.
Do you ever, when you're ever shooting, so I'm guessing you get a lot of film footage and then you bring it home and then you do the editing, right? Is that when the story occurs, or do you know kind of the narration beforehand?
I usually have some sort of outline that will kind of tell me what I'm going to look for. Like, okay, you want to shoot the modern, soldiers or whatever, and so I kind of have an outline pre-done, but overall it's really just, getting what you can get, I think. So.
Do you ever go back and take additional shot? Like I was thinking, the portraits at the beginning, did you have those already, or did you go like, I need to go and get some portraits?
I think I got the portraits after I did the filming, just because I knew that I would have to. But I already kind of knew, that, oh, I have to mention these three people, or just any of the founding fathers, to kind of talk about what was going to happen. And that footage was in the Jefferson in the beginning.
I thought I recognized, the Jefferson Hotel, right? With the rotunda. Yeah?
Cool. Yeah.
That's cool.
So, any more questions?
Do you have to get permission from some of the places to video?
That's definitely a difficult task. Well, with Yorktown, there's already so many people there. That was kind of already like, expected that somebody's going to be filming. But with I've filmed at a lot of plantations and smaller places that are really not as open to filming. I've ran into a few difficulties. Sometimes when I don't ask permission, and when I do ask permission, they kind of get alarmed by it. But a lot of people like having a young person come and document history, so it's good.
Cool. Do we, I guess we'll open it up if any students or staff members, it looks like Miss Estes has a question.
I actually don't have a question. I just have a comment. And I'll try to say this without getting teary-eyed. Michael, you've always had a tremendous work ethic, and that shows in everything that you do, whether it's in the classroom or outside the classroom. And your innate curiosity about the past has just really supported your love and passion behind the camera as well as in front of it. And I'm just so very proud of you.
Thank you, Ms. Estes.
Welcome.
May I ask with that also, what kind of do you always use a big camera? Do you ever do you mix it with a phone footage? Like what do you use when you shoot?
I used to shoot with a an EX1 Sony.
That's kind of a bigger thing, right?
That's what I used when I filmed the news show of Riverside.
Yeah.
And so, and I used that for a while, but it just got too big to carry around. So I've kind of switched to a smaller camcorder size.
But the quality looks great. It's amazing how from even a small thing you can get such great quality.
Agree. William, you have a question for Michael.
Yes.
Thank
and
you.
Michael, remember me from last year?
Yeah, I do.
Well, my question is, I loved your presentation. So here's my question. What's going to be your next brilliant idea for your next brilliant show?
That's a great question.
That is.
I'm working on, I think I'm going to do like how the Virginians first kind of came into the Piedmont region and how they, you know, went into the Blue Ridge Mountains and all the pioneers. I think that will be the next big idea.
I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to watch it, so I do know some stuff about it.
That's cool. Hey, let me ask about that, Michael. Do you have a notebook with a list of different ideas that are kind of coming up? Like, when do they hit you, and how do you not forget them?
Always coming up with ideas, and you're right. I do write them down, and it's nonstop ideas. So
that's awesome.
That's a great idea for our students, though. So his strategy to not forget them is that he has a notebook and writes them down. I love that. All right, Miss Sculthorpe, unmuted.
Like Mrs. Estes, I'm going to try not to get choked up, but I just want to tell you, Michael, how proud I am of you. Having been your history teacher for several years, you always actually, I felt, should have been teaching the class instead of me. I'm just really proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay. What inspired you to make that show in the first place?
I think what inspired me to make it in the first place is that, well, I mean, I've always just been fascinated with Virginia history. So I think that when I think that just anything that comes to mind, I think I try to do. So that's kind of the inspiration that all of these, well, I have my documentary hero is a guy named Michael Wood. He's in the UK, and he does, I mean, these really great, he did The Story of China. They're all really great documentaries. So you should look at his work too, because it's very similar.
Can I ask about that? So will you look, I mean, when you watch one of his documentaries, you're kind of imagining it as a filmmaker, right? Do you kind of get some ideas for different shots, and is that correct?
Definitely, and how he does it on camera, and it's all, you know, the inspiration. So it's definitely how I come up with a lot of my pieces, yes.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
Morning. Hi, Michael.
Wow.
I wanted to share the same sentiments as Miss Estes and Miss Sculthorpe. And I thought since they had done that and I had gotten it out of my system, I wouldn't tear up myself. But having met you the first day when you walked into Riverside and meeting such a special young man as yourself, I just hope that all your dreams come true, and I'm sure they will now. My question is your career to remain in film or in history?
Oh, great question.
It's a very good question. I think film, probably, because, I mean, I think it will be film, but the history is a huge interest, so more than the film, but I think the film is definitely where I'll go, probably.
I love that you figured out a way to combine your two favorite subjects. That's very, very thoughtful and creative. It looks like Mason has a question. Mason, you're unmuted.
Do you use a separate thing to record your voice, or do you just use the audio on the camera?
I usually use I have a little microphone next to my desk that I usually just record in the application, the voiceover,
Okay.
usually.
Good question. And I think we have one more question here from, it looks like Liam. Liam, you're unmuted.
Like hang on. When like the older kids did that like photo shoot of them, like that recording video of them talking about like the news and stuff, did that give you any ideas, Michael?
I think it did. I think it taught me a lesson how to work with people. I think it was a really great,
Thanks.
I mean, some of my teachers will tell you, I mean, I think it was really a good lesson to learn how to work with people and how to manage talent. So it was good.
So I think Liam's referring to a project that you did while you were at Riverside School,
Yeah.
correct? Wow, Liam, great memory.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, that wow, what a fantastic presentation. I feel like, Michael, you talked about your goal being you know, that you teach someone, you know, something new every day. And I really have learned a lot, and I thought I already knew quite a bit about what you had going on, but this has been amazing and powerful. I'm inspired to go out and do more. I think our students, you've really given them something to think about. I could tell by the questions that they were asking that they might start to explore taking some video and again, exploring their creative side and looking for cool ways to kind of mesh a couple things that they are really interested in. And of course, it's always great to hear, even without everything that you have going on, all the cool stuff that you have just in school going on, and have a great visit from a student that obviously you could tell that the staff and the students really enjoy your company and think you're a fantastic kid. So thank you from the bottom of our heart. Go ahead, Mr. Waller.
I just want to say, and Michael, please, I'm thinking that you are going to be having a long career in film. You are welcome back to Riverside anytime you want to come and share what you have going on. It's inspirational for our students, and yeah, just want to extend that invitation. Thank you for coming.
This has been such a great honor. It really has been great to see everyone. And it's been really great. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I love this guy.
Okay. I think that's it for morning meeting today.
Hey, Riverside students, everything you do today, do your best.